Hi, my name is Yvonne Villarreal. I cover television for the Los Angeles Times. Thanks so much for being here. So, Loot is a show that I recommend often, so I'm very glad to have the creative team with us. Let's get started. Joining me are executive producers Matt Hubbard and Alan Yang. Star and executive producer Maya Rudolph. Star Joel Kim Booster. Michaela Jaé Rodriguez. Nat Faxon. Oh, sorry, Ron Funches and Nat Faxon. Sorry. Woo! It doesn't matter. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey. So I really can't wait to talk about that wrestling moment. So good. The second season has some good ideas about what billionaires should be doing with their money. Alan and Matt, how did you arrive at LA's housing crisis as the cause for Molly to take on?
Whenever we do the charity stuff, we really try to base it in real life, right? So actually, Alan had a conversation, we were getting ready for season 2 with Nithya Rahman, who's a city councilor in LA. And I'll let you tell the conversation because it was really instructive.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think we like to talk to people who understand how to help others more than we do because we're comedy writers. We're not necessarily people who understand structural change and understand really how things work in the real world. We're in writers' rooms. So, we talked to a bunch of friends, and one of them was Nithya, who was a city council member. And I literally was just having dinner, and I was like, well, if you had kind of unlimited money, what would you do? And she said, well, there's a lot of issues with zoning. There's issues with building new structures and all that stuff. But there are a lot of existing buildings that have no one living in them and are just kind of there. And honestly, that's probably one of the quickest ways to cut through red tape. So that felt to us like a way that adhered to Sophia's ideas of working locally. And it felt like a good step on the way of the ultimate goal of what the goal of the show is. And that is, ultimately philanthropy is nice and charity is nice, but there are bigger ways that we can actually help make society more equitable. And we're on the way there, so just bear with us. Hopefully we get more and more seasons and we'll eventually get there. But we do want to see them pursue philanthropy right now, and you'll see. So before you judge the political aims of the show, but we did feel like Space for Everyone was something physical and tangible and something that could give us a lot of great stories in this season.
What's been the feedback that you've heard from people that work in that?
Really good. I actually ran into someone, they were like, oh my God, my friend works in government, and they were like, this is so real, and it feels like something that can be accomplished. There was something called Project Roomkey that was real, and they have tried to do things like this. I've run into people who work in the philanthropic space. Believe it or not, I've run into billionaires, and they've said that they watch the show, so it seems to be striking a chord, and it seems to be at least, look, it's always going to be a comedy forward show, and we really want to make the show entertaining and build characters that people care about and hopefully love and laugh at. But we do want to keep one foot in reality so that we're not spinning out into outer space. So hopefully we've done a good job.
Where are you at that you're running into?
This is a very. I'll make it very quick. We have started writing season 3, which is very, very fun. We've not officially been picked up, but we started writing it. And my fiance and I were in Europe, and we went to Majorca, which is an island off the coast of Spain.
You're going to find a billionaire there.
There you go. And we went to a hotel owned by Richard Branson, who is a billionaire. And we ran into Richard Branson, and we did a wine tasting with him, and he took a liking to us. And his assistant loved Loot so much, we ended up having dinner with him and spent 5 hours with him. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get him in the show. We'll see.
I was going to say.
And did you take him home after?
He was down, man. He was down. But it was a very crazy experience. But yeah.
Matt, was that always the plan with this platform, to sort of give commentary in the midst of the funny? Because it could easily be a show about, eccentric billionaires and the weird things that they do. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think when we were starting the show, we really wanted this to be like a great workplace comedy. Alan and I had worked on those in the past, and we loved doing them. I think what was exciting about this show to us was that it could have a moral center to it, and there were things we were worried about with inequality and wealth, and we wanted to write about those things as well, So I thought that was a really exciting element of the show. We didn't want to, we felt like we had already seen shows about how terrible wealthy people are, and there are great shows about how terrible wealthy people are. It was exciting for us through the character of Molly. Can someone who has been in this insane wealth bubble pull themselves out of it? Is that possible? And that was a really exciting sort of thing for us to explore in the show.
Maya, this season, what interested you in Maya's commitment to give away her money fully? Because, it doesn't make her any less out of touch, but she's trying to, carve out her own identity in the process of doing that. Talk a little bit about that.
You said Maya's commitment. I got really distracted. No, I got distracted. I was like, squirrel, and I just heard my name.
Molly.
What was the question?
What did you enjoy about exploring Molly's commitment to giving away her money and, trying to carve out this identity for herself?
I loved the philanthropic angle to the idea of the show. When these guys came to me with the concept for this show, I thought it was such a great way to tell the story of something that you could see happening in the world today, but that there is a social responsibility to this character's intentions, and that the question is raised: if you had all that money, what would you do with it, or what would you use it for good? It just felt like a great way to tell a story with comedy. This season in particular, I loved ending last season with Molly giving her billions away, and we started hearing stuff in the news and thought ooh, do you think that billionaire watches Loot? That would be cool. And then I just loved the idea of space for everyone. And I thought that what I like about the show is that it's bringing ideas to the conversation that hopefully will rub off on people. Who knows if it's something that could really happen, but it would be great if people are thinking about it. And I just think those are ways to get ideas into forward motion, and maybe not necessarily in Los Angeles, but in any city. One or two cities would be great. So I loved that about this season. And then I think it also just pairs really nicely with being able to play all the bigger swings and the out of touch stuff, because there is an element of reality, so that you can allow this person to live in her own rarefied bubble at times. But she manages to pull herself back in.
To that point, can you talk about the 73 questions bit that opened this season?
Sure. What do you want to talk about?
Tell me, for Matt and Alan, where that came from, and then Maya, for you, how many takes did that involve?
It was amazing. I love 73 questions. I'm personally obsessed with 73 questions and have seen almost all of them. And it was something that I had just watched in a lot of writers' rooms, with writers, because they're so crazy. And we were just thinking what's a splashy way to open season 1? And suddenly it was oh my God, what if Molly Wells did a 73 questions? And then it was just idea after idea came, and then someone pitched a sloth. Someone pitched David Chang being there, and it just sort of snowballed. It was a ton of fun.
Joel, how was that sloth?
That sloth smells so bad. So bad. Living in its own filth.
It was a baby, remember? Yeah. And they were it's got to hold on to this thing. And it was a nasty baby.
Yeah.
But it also, it smelled like a horse stall gone wrong.
Yeah. Gone really wrong.
Poor little thing.
It moves too slow. It can't take care of itself.
Yeah. It can't wipe.
Joel, with Nicholas, he's on his own journey this season. We get to learn a little bit of his backstory. We meet his, white adoptive parents from Indiana. We see him struggle with his Korean identity. What did that sort of tell you about, what he's sort of masking in the persona that he presents to the world?
Yeah, I think it is about, I think what we learned this season about Nicholas and the way he is that so much of that is self-protection, I think, and it is with these walls and this armor that he's built up over time to sort of hide that insecurity and make sure that no one sees it. And if he's the most confident person in the room, if he's the most self-assured person in the room, then he doesn't even have to really look at it inward and see all of the things that he, feels, maybe incomplete or sort of struggling with identity issues and things like that. And and it's exciting because I think, the sassy gay assistant is a trope. We all have seen it. I've been called in many times to be one. And what really excited me about this one, though, after talking to Matt and Alan really early on, was the promise of depth and the promise of a direction that would make it listen, I know people who like Nicholas. That's a real kind of character. But I think getting to explore why he is that way makes it feel so much more three-dimensional than just, a snapping hey diva character.
How much input did you have on that arc?
They definitely came to me. Listen, they did not throw a curveball and just show up to table read with this script talking about how I don't feel Korean and I don't, feel, white enough either. And I think it started with them simply asking me, we know that Nicholas's parents are showing up this season. Do you want them to be Asian or do you want him to be adopted? And it was such a quick decision for me to say, I think he should be adopted, in part because that episode didn't have anything to do with adoption. It's never even mentioned. I think I would love to see more incidental casting choices like that, because it's people are smart enough to figure out what the fuck is going on when they show up. You don't have to spell it out for them. And then from there, I think that opened the door to exploring some more of the real life kind of, baggage that comes along with that.
Well, Michaela Jaé, we got to see a softer side of Sophia this season. She's found love, but she's also struggled to sort of give herself the grace to embrace that love because she's so committed to the work that she does and the people that she helps. What's your hope for her moving forward?
I mean, there are so many hopes for Sophia moving forward. I think I would love her to succeed in the relationship. I mean, she's through the first and second season, we see her really work hard and try to figure herself out and how she feels when it comes to being in something long term. I think the only thing she understands is work. I mean, we get it from the first season where she talks about how her parents really worked hard and, then her father has mishaps and is not able to work. So I think she only understands that. And actually, through watching the first season and second season, aside from being a part of these wonderful, amazing people, because they really have helped me through a lot of this in ways which they don't know. But I've wondered about her. How does she feel when she is at home by herself? And I think the reassurance for her is when she comes back into the office and she has people there to look to. Because as an audience member watching, I'm realizing, oh, wow, she has to go home to herself. Not Isaac, not any of the characters that are in this space for her. She has to go home alone to herself. So I think her biggest joy, which she may not show it all the time, but I think her biggest joy is coming back into the office, especially when Molly is kind of the breath of fresh air that just comes and breezes through. So yeah, I think all of that encompasses it.
Well, speaking of romance, the will they, won't they is something I live for. I saw this next. Matt.
I'm on pins and needles. Literally.
We see Arthur and Molly continue to not really reach that point yet, but they're dancing around each other. How would you describe that relationship? And would you be able to endure the slow burn, or would you have acted a lot more quickly?
Well,
yeah, take your time.
I also have a lot of friends that are billionaires, and we talk about this all the time. And Richard Branson told me also, if you're ever in a situation like that, slow burn it. And so that's what I've been doing, advising on the show, slow burn this. No, I guess in my personal experience, I am similar to Arthur probably in a lot of ways that I would, don't totally want to admit to all of you. But I do think there's a vulnerability to Arthur that I love in that character, and being able to sort of, he tries so hard to step out of his comfort zone and to make a big move, and obviously when things don't go his way, it's like his whole world sort of crashes down and he's got to regroup. So I would like to think that I'd be, go for it and be that kind of guy that can just like swoop a lady off her feet and take her in my arms and do that manly, like, grab behind the neck and kiss them. But I probably would play it more like Arthur and just cowardly go up and be like, please talk to me.
Matt and Alan, do you have an idea? Have you plotted it out? You don't have to tell us when, but
You thought it out as
I have. I'm telling you.
I would say, first of all, watch the finale of the second season to see what happens. And we're actually having a great time thinking about the third season, should we be fortunate enough to get one. And we have an amazing staff of writers who are helping us. And I just think Nat and Maya are so funny together, and they actually have known each other for quite a while, and they just really, I don't know, I think they make each other better in scenes, and so we love seeing them together. Whether they're together, whether they're friends, whether they're fighting, whether they're enemies, I think they're always funny. So we're definitely going to be seeing more of them in some capacity.
Can you tell me what that writer's room is like? I want to be a fly on the wall. Like, even thinking of like specific details that you give each of the characters, whether it's Arthur and the Reba McEntire shirt, or Nicholas posting photos of penis outlines every Thursday on Instagram. I mean, for the cast, do you have a favorite? Ron, let's start with you. Do you have a favorite for Howard?
Just a quirk of Howard?
Yeah.
Quality?
Yeah.
Probably just his nerddom, his like knowledge of different anime and things of that nature. I enjoy. I like the I love the pro wrestling stuff because I'm a big pro wrestling fan. I was hoping I get to keep some of the memorabilia, but they did not allow it.
How do you come up with these?
Well, by the way, it's funny that Ron should mention that. We're very grateful to the cast because we like to get to know them better. I think one of the joys for us getting to create a show and run the show and write the scenes is just getting to know them better as people and infusing the characters with the personalities of these amazing, wonderful, funny, charismatic people. And it just makes the characters richer. They're not necessarily a one-to-one, but just, taking Ron's love of, nerddom and video games and anime and wrestling and, this crazy stuff Joel does. We know we're incorporating that into Nicholas. I mean, everyone sort of has contributed in that way. And then I will also like to credit the writing staff because, I don't know, we've just had such a great time. This is our first season back. This third season writing is in person. And we've had such a wonderful time being back in a physical writer's room. And it just feels so rich and sort of, the staff is so funny. We really have a stacked staff this season. We have a lot of people who are former showrunners and people who are really high level. And we often draw from our own personal lives and the personal lives of our families and friends and all that stuff. And I think that you can tell because it feels like funny details that, we experience in real life. So that's part of it as well.
Ron, tell me more about the wrestling because that scene was so good. And this is all because of you.
Thank you. Yeah, I didn't even know, but I started training for pro wrestling like 3 years ago before the show existed, and I was just like, who knows why this will come in handy.
Is he egging me on?
No,
You should see his vision boards.
Yeah.
They are elaborate.
They are. That's very true. He's not joking.
I mean, I'm all over one, and that came true, Ron. Congratulations.
Yeah, I trained for, I had a friend who passed away suddenly, and it just kind of did this thing where you're like, oh, what is one of the things that I want to do before I die, And I just always wanted to be a comedian or a pro wrestler. Those are the only two things I ever wanted to do. And so I started training to be a pro wrestler. I had a match a couple years ago, and then one of the writers, Aneez Ansari, we've been friends for like a decade, and we'd go to shows, and he saw my match and he seen me wrestle, and and it kind of just went from there.
That's amazing. How was it filming that scene? Because you all look like you're having so much fun.
We had a blast. We did like a couple days of training, like pretty intensely with like an actual.
Yeah, with Chavo Guerrero.
Yeah.
Is a great wrestler and trainer for like Clo and whatever there's wrestling and stuff. He's usually involved. And it was awesome. Nicholas is a great.
Whoa, whoa. How long have we known each other?
I was just about to compliment.
No, but I agree though. Like you made it really easy because you had done the training, and so I felt really like safe and comfortable, obviously with you on a personal level, but also you were so helpful for me to learn some of that stuff when we were just running through it on set and stuff.
Yeah, like you were a natural. You picked it up. He's a pure athlete and a natural heel. Easy to hate.
I have a lot of anger. But no, it was. I think one of my favorite memories of last season was getting to shoot that with Ron.
And I think what was really fun, because it felt like show and tell, that we got to kind of go away, just the two of us, and work on this project, and the rest of the cast didn't see it until we started to actually tape it and perform it, and to see them like when they're cheering and stuff. Some of it was like, because they were really like, oh wow, look at them.
I was acting mostly, and during the thing, just not to be a dick.
Were you jealous?
Wow, what a change for you.
You set yourself up for failure.
Touche.
We have to talk about the guest stars. Obviously, we see David Chang as a recurring character, but this season we had Benjamin Bratt. That was all over TikTok. Your reaction to Benjamin Bratt?
Oh my God, was that a meme? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
How do you look those up? My daughter kept saying, you're a meme. And I was like, how do you find it? And then if you look on my search, it's just this Maya Rudolph meme. And I got nothing.
I'll forward it to you.
Thank you. I really enjoyed that quite a bit. That look you get when he says he'll take you to Target and rub your feet.
We all want that. But, as we saw with this recent episode, you had Anna guest star. Talk about, like, are you thinking about who you can get and then writing the character to them, or vice versa?
I think it's a little both. I think it's like, we come up with a character generally and like figure out the general outlines, and then we kind of discuss together. We bring Maya into the process as well, and be like, who would be fun to play with in scenes, and who would be, a lot of these people are people who are old friends, like Anna. Maya and Anna, I think, know each other and they go way back, and someone like Benjamin Bratt we knew through Natasha Lyonne, and just people. We want good vibes. We want good vibes on set. David Chang has been a friend of mine for many, many years, and it's just people like, that's the vibe we want, and they just killed it. I mean, both Anna and Benjamin like really fit into the world and were a pleasure on set, and it's just, to me, it's so funny when they're exactly like they are in real. Like, I feel like I mentioned this like not that long ago, but like I told the cast, like, Benjamin Bratt will text me and be like, man, I just saw the episode and like we were cracking up. Me and my wife. Is just like, he's so positive, just like he is in the show, just like just like a handsome guy who won the lottery in life and is very happy. It's like, yeah, if I looked like that, I'd be happy too.
Better looking in person. It's incredible. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that guy has been able.
I would have to agree.
So that reaction was real.
The passion was real.
Yeah.
That meme was actually just my documentary about my life.
But Maya, how was it reuniting with Anna in this capacity? Like, you're both playing loaded women who are trying to rebuild their lives. How was that to play? And like, was there room for a lot of improvising with her?
It's interesting. I mean, yes and no. I don't think there was necessarily a lot of improv, but Anna and I both come from the Groundlings. I think that's just like an inherent thing. I mean, I think there's probably a little bit of a bounce to what she was doing that she would bring in, but it was there on the page. But yeah, she just brought something to it that is completely unique. And then really, I think the two of us together was like, someone was saying it was like taking the towel off of the parrot cage. Like, we were just nonstop chatter and noise and songs, and you just pick up where you left off, and we had so much fun. And I could just watch her go for hours. And when she was giving us the tour of the house and talking about the broken glass, and she didn't know where she was and if that was her boyfriend, and God damn it, that was really fun. But I do really take as a compliment whenever people ask if things are improvised, only in the sense that it feels like there is some sort of natural cadence to it, which is really nice. And, we do, sometimes the guys will say, like, try one, do them as scripted, then try one. But for the most part, I mean, what you're seeing is what's written, unless there's some extra sauce here and there. It just depends.
The great thing about an ensemble is the different pairings that you can put on a scene. What have you enjoyed? Like, I love seeing Nicholas and Howard have their scenes, and I love when then Arthur gets into those scenes. I love, like...
I don't.
But talk to me about, like, exploring what fun you can have between the different characters.
Yeah, that's one of the joys of having a loaded cast like this, first of all. And as Matt mentioned earlier, we used to work on 30 Rock and Parks and Rec, and I think when those shows run for a while, you get the pleasure of seeing different people pair up. So season 1, as you mentioned, Nicholas and Howard, we had a lot of them together, and it was a joy. And then we got to do pairings this season that we hadn't done as much season 1. Like, I really enjoyed the Taylor Swift story with Sophia and Howard, and we saw this the episode where Sophia saw Arthur kissing his girlfriend. I thought was very funny.
Yeah.
And it's just ones that you don't necessarily expect. And then what you aim to do, what the loftiest goal possible is that you build these characters and construct them and sort of mold them in a way that is so compelling and so fun and so likable that you want to see any pairing and you want to see any trio, and it works. And all of them could do an A story with Molly or a B story with any of them. And that's when you see the pilot and it works, and the second episode, and you see the B story, and you're like, does it work? And your fingers are crossed. Does it work? Does it work? And then when that works, then you know you're in business. And so we feel very fortunate in that regard.
Matt, tell me about the Taylor moment, because how do you decide when something's going to be like a drive-by mention versus something is going to sort of really get explored in an episode?
That story was a great example of how important a diverse writer's room is, because Alan and I think we were pitching a story where, like, okay, Sophia has a secret, and she's hiding it from everybody. And that was basically like all we had. So I was kind of like, I don't know, is it video games? Like, is she really into video games? And Howard figures that out. One of our writers, April, was like, what if Sophia secretly loves Taylor Swift? And she was like, as a woman, person of color, I love Taylor Swift, but I have very complicated feelings about telling people that because they use it against me. And I was just like, that's it. That made that story so much more complex and so much more interesting. It was just such a credit to her to, like, bring that experience into the room. And then it was like, yes. And then I didn't know anything. By the way, we broke the story pre-Eras tour, by the way. So we look like geniuses because then she blew up even more. And it was just like, it was such a good example to me of, like, bringing in diverse voices and making sure everybody, this incredible characters, they all have an advocate in the room who have gone through things that they have gone through. And that's where we landed.
Michaela Jaé, how did you feel seeing that in this?
I felt fantastic. I mean, how could you go wrong with a great songwriter like that? You know what I mean?
So you're a Swiftie.
Listen, I am a Swiftie. I actually listened to her whole album, and it's actually pretty lit.
Do you have a favorite song?
I like Fortnite. Fortnite is one of my favorite songs. You put me on the spot right now, huh?
Braun, what's your favorite?
Oh, I'm more of a Travis guy. But Karma's good. I like it. But I really liked about that is that we get to see Sophia, such a strong character, who's always in charge and always a leader. And then I like that when Howard finds this secret about her, that it's not just this thing for him to, like, bring her down or make fun of her, but it's this thing to be like, oh, it's okay for you to be vulnerable. It's okay for you to be yourself. And I really like that, the scene, the two of us together, where Howard, like, looks up to her and sees her and as this strong woman that is to be revered. I think it was really fun. I like the pairing of us together quite a bit.
I do too.
There's so many moments that are so funny in the show. I've seen the last episode, so I'm sorry if I'm spoiling something. But whether it's like the billionaire on the plane and they're watching it with the turbulence and stuff like that. Sorry, I won't say more. But what have been some of the fun ones for you guys to act out this season?
Well, I just want to jump in and just say it was just fun to watch Maya. I knew everybody was going to say it, so I wanted to jump in first. You know what? The fashion show. Just watching her do the fashion show made us so happy. And it's the first time I saw anyone get like a standing ovation from the whole crew. It was amazing. It was really fun.
And it was the easiest day for us.
Yes.
We literally just sat.
Kept snacks under my chair.
My whole cast just sitting watching me. But it was really fun. The ham and me also really enjoyed having the entire floor.
And there was so much stuff that they weren't even able to use, too. That was such a long day for you, and it was really layers upon layers.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for shooting this episode, but when you the no big whoop girlfriend, that had me in tears, and I wasn't even there, and it was just everything.
She was doing that during my coverage too, and I literally think I break in that. Like I don't even think you could find a take where I wasn't smiling because it was so. My boyfriend and I watch it literally every morning. Like no big whoop girlfriend is a permanent part of my vocabulary now.
Wow. I'm thoroughly honored.
Well, the finale airs next week. What can you tease? And tell me more about what you're interested in exploring in a possible third season.
Tease-wise, well, obviously the 9th episode has like some crazy stuff happening in it, so some of that stuff will be resolved. But I think I honestly am really proud of the finale. I think it's one of the funniest episodes we've ever done. First of all, it just felt like as we were editing it, we were like, wow, scene after scene after scene, it felt like the ensemble was clicking, and you don't always get that. So I will say that. I will also say there's an insane left turn in the episode and something very surprising. And I will also say if you like scenes with Molly and Arthur, like you'll see some of that stuff. So we'll, I'll leave it at that. But we're very, it's a very, very crazy episode. And I think it also it kicks forward to season 3 in a good way. So I'm very happy with the episode, and I hope people like it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. We kindly ask that you all stay in your seats while our guests make their way out, but thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.